Dear students, today we have a very lengthy lesson to discuss. It is Evans Tries an O level by Colin Dexter. It is a short drama, and before we start this lesson, let's discuss which are the characters of this drama. The first is Secretary of the Examination Board. He has a minor role in the drama, a short role, and second major character of this drama is Governor of HM Prison, Oxford. The most important character, the central character of this drama is James Roderick Evans. He is a prisoner. Next are two characters, Mr. Jackson and Mr. Stephen. Both are prison officer, Mr. Jackson being a senior prison officer and Stephen a junior prison officer. Next character is the Reverend S. McClary, an invigilator. He happens to be a minister, priest. Next character is Mr. Carter, detective superintendent, and Mr. Bell, detective chief inspector. In the beginning, the drama starts with the conversation of the governor of HM Prison with the secretary of the examination board. The secretary of the examination board receives a call from HM Prison, Oxford, in early March. The governor of the HM Prison requests the secretary of the examination board that there is one prisoner called Evans. He started his night classes in September and he now wants to appear for an O level German exam. The secretary of the examination board replied, "This is really an unusual request we had received, but we did not find a reason to decline the request. Since it is related to exam only, one candidate is here, whether the candidate is a regular candidate or a prisoner. We did not find any reason to decline the request." So they accept the request and say that they will arrange an exam for Evans in his cell itself. But before they accept, the secretary of the examination board asks a few questions as to which kind of person was Evans, and the governor replies, he is not a violent sort of person. He is simply congenital kleptomaniac, means he has the habit of stealing right from his birth. Then they talk about the examination center. Then the governor suggests that his prison would serve as an examination center. Then the secretary of the board says they would arrange an invigilator from the nearby church. A parson would work as an invigilator, and they finally decide the exam will take place. Then, in the drama, Evans is introduced. Evans, James Roderick Evans, is referred to as Evans the Break among the prison officers, since he had already broken the cell for 3 times. That's why he had earned the title Evans the Break. He's very clever person, he's very smart person, he's a thief as well as clever planner. Since the exam was scheduled to take place the next day, so the exam was scheduled to start at 9:15 the next morning, and the next morning at 8:30 two persons visit Sivan. Both were the prison officer. One was Jackson and second was Stephen. There has developed an enemy between Mr. Jackson and Evans because Jackson is in charge of taking care of Evans, and Evans has already broken the cell thrice, so there is an enmity between Jackson and Evans, sorry. Evans wished Jackson good morning. Jackson wished him and wished him in Jackson wished him making a comment, asking him as referring him as Einstein. Then Evans replies, "Wasn't he a mathematician?" Then Jackson said, looking at the countenance of Evans, he said, "He seemed to be a Jew." Means Jackson here commented over the ugly countenance of Evans because he was having long beard and ugly look. Then Evans gives some explanation that he was ready to shave, and it is the very moment that Jackson and Stephen had entered. Jackson gives Evans half an hour to be ready for the exam, and Jackson also gives instructions to Stephen to take everything out. Jackson asks Stephens to take everything from Evans that could be harmful. In between, Evans asks Jackson a question as to who has taken his nail scissor and nail file, and Jackson was quite ready for the answer. He said, "It was governor's order, so we have taken nail scissor nail file." Then Evans had no question next. Next section points to Evans' hat and asks Stephens to take that too. But Evans lovingly keeps his hand over the hat, saying that all the good things happen to me in my life has been because of this hat only. So, on this exam day, let this hat be with me. It's my luck. And Jackson allowed him to keep that hat. While Evans was shaving, Stephen keeps preparing for the exam. He brings in two tables and two chairs, and Jackson comments on the pin-ups because Evans had some objectionable pin-ups on the walls, and Evans agrees that he would take down those objectionable pictures from the wall. While Evans was saving, he asked some questions from Jackson that why they had bugged me in, means they had set up a microphone inside the cell, and Jackson gives him explanation that because the governor himself would be listening you during the exam, so as not to give you any chance of uh, escaping from the cell. And even Jackson further adds that he himself and Stephen would be having an eye on Evans like a hawk. Means they themselves would be having a close look and would be watching him throughout the exam. Next, the scene switches to Reverend Stuart McClary, who leaves his home at 8:45 since the exam was to start at 9:15. He took all the necessary stuff with him like uh, question paper, his Bible, and the other accessory to be used during the exam. He signed in the visitor book, and one guard takes him into the D wing where Ivan's cell was there and hands him over to Stephen. At 9:10 a.m., Governor turns on his receiver. Governor thinks about his worry about McClary. He feels that, however, they have not given any chance to Evans to escape this time, but still, he has some worries that McClary, out of his innocence, might not have brought something that could harm him, and Evans might take help of those. So at 9:12, the governor asked Jackson to take McClary out of the cell once again for frisking. So McClary is asked to come out, and then he was checked thoroughly. Something was hard in his coat. Then he explained that it is his reading glasses, so he was allowed to take in. Then he had one rubber ring with him, which was further an objectionable thing. Then McClary explained that he had some problem in sitting. That's why he had brought this rubber ring to sit comfortably. Then McClary was also having a knife with him, and object Jackson raised an objection about the knife and kept him outside. However, McClary explained that he might need to break the seal with the knife, but he was not allowed. And after all, he is once again sent back to the cell, and he asked Evans to write the name of the paper, German 021-1, his index number 313, and the center number 271. Stephen was inside the cell to keep a watch on Evans, and Evans raised the objection that he should not be inside. If he would be breathing over him inside the cell, how is he supposed to concentrate on his exam? So Evans raised this objection, and Stephen is sent outside, and through a peephole he keeps an eye on Evans. So the exam began at 9:25, 10 minutes late instead of 9:15. At 9:40, just after 15 minutes, the governor received a call from the Oxford Examination Center, and the governor talked. They said the candidate appearing for 021-1 would need a correction slip because someone has forgotten to carry along with the question paper. The governor forwards the call to Dewing, and he himself also listened to what the conversation takes place between the Oxford Examination Center and the invigilator in Dewing. So they spoke. On page 3, line 15, the fourth word should read Goldene, not Goldine, and the whole phrase will therefore read Jam Goldene Loin, not Jam Goldene Loin. So this was correction in the word. In place of Goldene, it was Goldine. No, sorry, in place of Goldine, it was Goldine. Okay, so this correction was sent to the invigilator, and invigilator spoke to Evans, and he took down that correction. For first quarter of hour up to 9:15 45, Stephen peeped at interval of 1 minute, and then he started peeping at an interval of 2 minutes. Everything went well up to 10:45, means around 1 hour and 20 minutes. Everything went well. At 10:50, governor's receiver received some sounds as Evans was demanding blanket inside. It was getting a bit cold, and Evans demanded blanket. It was lying on his bunk, and McClary allowed him. At 10:51, when Stephen saw him through a peephole, he was surprised. He was surprised to see that Evans was having blanket around him. He got confused whether to report this small change to Jackson and to Governor or not, because it was instructions to Stephen that he would report any small change uh, to his senior prison officer and governor. Then he thought He thought and realized that it is naturally called insight. So it is not a thing, so big a thing to be reported to the senior officers. However, he reverted to his 1 minute's watch, means he after 10:45 10:50 he once again started watching at the interval of 1 minute, which he earlier switched to 2 minutes. At 11:20, the governor listened McClary saying Evans that it's 5 minutes left. And at 11:22, once again, there was a call for Stephen. Jackson asked Stephen that governor wants to talk to him. And Stephen took his way to Stephen rushes to attend the call, and he is ordered by the governor that Stephen would take McClary back to see him off. So this was the order, and at 11:25 exam gets over. Stephen is accompanying now McClary to see him off, and on their way back they indulges in conversation as Stephen asks Evans might not have done well. Then McClary also answers agreeing Stephen that he might not have done well, and it seemed to Stephen that his Scottish accent was a bit weird this time. And finally, after sending him, seeing him goodbye, seeing him off, Stephen gets back. When he comes back to the D wing, he was shocked to see the scene inside. There was one person lying almost half dead inside, bleeding badly, and he shouts for Jackson and other officers. There was totally hustle and bustle everywhere. McClary to Stephen, he says that do not worry, I'm all right. Do not worry about the ambulance. I'm all right. Get the police. I know where he is gone. Stephen and Jackson takes McClary to the governor. Actually, what happened here, Evans has escaped impersonating McClary, and inside he has left McClary beaten up to half dead. So he goes to the governor and tells him the whole story. He says that, see what they have done. He threw one question paper to the governor and speaks that this last page of the question paper, which was supposed to be blank, is having all the instruction as to what they have to do. They had planned. There was written in German, and its English version is, you must follow the plan already something. The vital point in time is 3 minutes before the end of the examination, but something, something, something. Don't hit him too hard. Remember, he is a minister, and don't overdo the Scots accent when. At that very moment, Detective Chief Inspector Bell and Detective Superintendent Carter arrives. Carter at once asked what the hell is happening from the governor, and he asked from McClary, Minister, what has happened to you? And before governor could say anything in detail, McClary cut off all the detail and asked Carter to go to Elsfield Way, and he asked him to take him with them because McClary says he knows where Evans had gone. So governor gives his consent. He asks Carter to take McClary with them. And also, governor also adds to the details that McClary has said that from Elsfield Way they should go to Haddington Roundabout. He looked in the question paper and found that from Elsfield Way, Evans might be running to Haddington Roundabout. Now, while they are gone, taking McClary with them, Governor calls Jackson and Stephen. Governor gives them scolding. He asks Jackson and Stephen both that how this all mess happened. He scolded Jackson, saying that his head is empty. He says Jackson that you try to prove yourself as intelligent, but this time governor says your head is empty. You are a thoughtless person. And when governor asks who bade goodbye to Evans, then Stephen says it was me who saw him off. And then governor asked him why you accompanied him. Then Stephen says that it was your order that I should accompany him. Here governor expresses his surprise. He says, I ordered you to take McClary out from the cell and say him goodbye. Then Stephen talks about the call he got 3 minutes before the exam ended, but governor refused that he didn't make any such call, and it was Ivan's friends only who were trying once again to reach to the examination center before the exam gets over. And you fool couldn't know that it was not me who was speaking. Then governor sits with question paper in hand and messing up with his mind where they could possibly go. And from he found something in the question paper from Haddington roundabout to New Grabbing, but wondered which place this new Gurbain could be, and then he made his guess that New Gurbain might be New Grave. New Grave might be War Grave, because New Gurbain, New Grave, New War Grave, these are no places on the earth, and finally comes up with the place that they must go to Newbury. Meanwhile, Carter calls Governor that McClary had spotted Evans and they were chasing Evans, but from Haddington roundabout they lost him. Then Governor asked Carter to chase them to Newbury, and meanwhile he gives instruction to McClary that leave. Sorry, he gives instruction to Carter that leave McClary in some hospital because he might need some treatment. So Carter left McClary and made a call to Radcliffe Hospital to pick McClary from Haddington roundabout in an ambulance. And a few minutes later, Governor also confirmed the Hospital, and he's shocked to get a reply from them that no person was found waiting at Haddington roundabout. They say that they sent an ambulance, but no one was there, just vanished, and ambulance returned back empty. And this time, the truth was hitting the governor. And after the call got disconnected, he made an inquiry at Stuart McClary's house, and he found that in Broad Street, McClary's study room, McClary was there since 8:30. Someone tied him there. He couldn't go to take exam. So now the truth was totally revealed to the governor. Next, the drama takes switch to scene of Evans. He's feeling himself as smart. He's feeling proud on his friends who helped him get out of this prison, and he was feeling proud on himself too, how smartly he worked. And then he gets to the reception of a Golden Lion hotel, and the receptionist there was changed one. He also moves to his room thinking of the things provided in the car, the Oxfordshire's map, everything he got in the car which was needed to him. And as soon as he unlocked the bedroom, he was shocked to see that the governor was sitting inside. Evans darted his eyes around the room, but governor gave him warning that all around the hotel his men are deployed. Now Evans might not make an attempt once again to escape. So Evans felt he was beaten. And then starts their conversation. Evans, when governor asked how did he plan it all, then Evans tells that important call, last call was there. The last call which was made before the exam was over was very important call. It was a call to get everyone out of the way for a couple of minutes so as to let them execute their plan comfortably. Then governor asks a question. There are hundreds of Golden Lion hotel Then how could he locate this exact one? Then Evans gave explanation that his index number and center number. His index number 311 and his center number 271. If with the reference of these six digits, if they locate on the map of Oxfordshire with reference to these six digits, then they would reach this Golden Lion Hotel. And next, the governor asked a question: did he really know German? And Evans replies that he didn't know German. He had nothing to do with German O-level course. He used this language just to find a chance to once again escape. Then there came a big question from governor. He asked, how did he manage to get blood in the cell? Then Ivan starts smiling. Then governor suggested that rubber ring might have something to do with this blood. Evans accepted that blood was inside the rubber ring. Then again, governor asked, then how could you keep the blood liquidated for 2 hours? The blood might got some clottings in that 2 hours. Then came a shocking answer from Evans. He described him that if we add 3.8% of trisodium citrate in the 1/10th part of the blood, then it would not turn into clottings. It would remain as liquid. This was a great revelation, surprising thing to know by the governor, that how well thieves plan. Now they go back. Governor is now taking Evans back to the prisoner van, and on their way, once again governor asked how did he manage this soul. Then Evans reply on the way down that I got many friends. My German teacher to begin with. Once again, governor was surprised to know that the German teacher also turned out to be Ivan's friend. Finally, Evans was handcuffed, and governor, departing in his car, suggests Evans in pinching way that he should this September start with some O-level Italian course so that he might escape. It was a comment on Ivan's planning that his planning of German O-level course has failed, and once again he had been recaptured. So when he suggested that this September Evans should start some Italian course, then Evans said he will not start any course. Ivan refused. Both governor departed in his car, and Evans was taken to the prisoner van, handcuffed, and the van started moving. Governor had gone through his personal car. There are a few cops inside the van, a driver, and Evans. After they had not gone so far, the cop unlocked the handcuff of Evans, and he asked the driver asked now, where should we go this time? And Evans, sitting inside the van, replies, what about Newbury this time? This final events, this final incidents might be giving some confusion to students, but there is nothing to get confused in it. Things are very well clear. Why a cop would unlock handcuff and why would a driver ask where they should go? These two things clearly gave the indication that the prison van in which Ivan was sitting was not the real prison van. It was again a van in which Ivan's friends were sitting, and Governor thought that it is the real prison van. His real prison van was replaced, and Governor thought it is a prison van, and uh, giving Evans in the custody of police officers, he himself departed, but the cops and driver inside the prison van turned out to be Ivan's friend, and in the end, once again, Evans escaped and proving his words to the governor true that he might not need any Italian courts because he would escape right now, right at this moment, because governor commented him over the failure of his planning, but Evans sticked with his planning, and finally he escaped and proved his words that he would not need any Italian courts because he would escape right now, because Evans had already thought about this recapturing incident and had further made a planning. If this recapturing took place, then how he would escape this capturing. So finally, Evans once again had fled. So students, this was the lesson. I hope you would have understood it well. So be well prepared with it. Write a summary and do share on my number and subscribe to the channel. Share the video and do comment if you feel any doubt. I would reply you. Thank you.